Hey guys, Chris from Tillman Family Farms. So today we're going to talk about the things that we use the most on our farm. I've been thinking about this video for a long time and thinking about the things that we use the most and what would be the best items to do this video on. So as you can see behind me, I've collected a couple of things that I feel like we use the most around here. So now let's get into it, and I'm going to tell you why and how we use all of these items. So guys, before we get into each item, I want to start by saying that these are not things that we've all had from the very beginning. You know, when we first started off in farming, it was kind of a hobby. It was us on a mission to homestead. We were gardening on our own. We had horses. That was how we really got into it. And one day, you know, 15 or 16 years ago, I looked at Jamie and I said, hey, let's go get some chickens. So we went to the feed store and bought some chickens, and it's kind of been a growing process ever since then. So throughout this, I will talk to you about the things that we had when we started. You know, we didn't always have a tractor. When we gardened, we had a walk behind tiller. So I mean, there's a lot of different things like that I'll talk to you about, and so you'll see the progression of how we got to where we are right now. So let's get into it. We're going to talk about transportation around the farm first. So guys, this is probably the most used tool on the farm. When we bought it, I had intended it to be a massive dual purpose vehicle for us, and it so turns out that it has been the lifeblood of what we do. This is our farm work truck. During hunting season, I take this to our hunting property and I haul deer that we've harvested out of the woods with this. We pull trailers around the farm with this. We load up our feed and take out to the different places where we have pigs and chickens. You know, when the horses are being fed down in one of the lower pastures, we take it out to them. Before we used our tractor for hay bales, we used to load hay bales onto a trailer and pull it out into the pasture with this. So let me tell you what this machine is. So this is a 2018 Kawasaki FXR or Pro FXR, whatever it is. It's a fancy something. I didn't intend to buy something quite this fancy, but it's what I ended up with. This thing has a towing capacity of 2,200 pounds. It's four-wheel drive. It's comfortable. I've added a couple extra lights to it. We don't go out and use this thing like a lot of people do, and they go to these trail rides and they beat them all up and they get stuck in the mud and all that stuff. This is our work truck. This is how we get from A to B all over this farm, and it is very detrimental to what we do. We would walk ourselves to death trying to carry all this stuff around. At one time or another, we had a four-wheeler, and it was hunting season a couple years ago, and I took a vacation, and it rained almost the whole entire time. So I told my wife, I said, hey, let's go to town and look at side-by-sides. And then before I knew it, I was sending her back to the house to get a trailer so that we could bring this thing home. My dad bought one. His is a Kawasaki Mule as well, but it's a little bit different. But after seeing the versatility of it and how often we would use it, it was a no-brainer for us to have this. We started off on 2 acres, and you know, of course, this is right at 40 acres. So this is a lot different than how we started out. The way we started out, we didn't have to have anything. You know, it was a 50-yard walk to wherever we wanted to go, whatever we wanted to do at the old place. So something like this was not necessary. But if we've got something going on in the back of a 25-acre pasture, guess what we're going to do? We're going to load up in this Kawasaki Mule and we're going to ride back there. Probably one of the best purchases I feel like I've ever made. We did not buy this initially when we got here. The next item that we're going to talk about is what we bought first. So this was definitely not a need, and we didn't know we needed it as much until we bought it and found out how many things we could use it for. So Kawasaki Mule, the #1 used tool on our farm. So guys, the #2 most used tool on our farm is our tractor. This tractor is a John Deere 3032E. We bought this tractor new in 2016. We bought our farm in 2015. It wasn't very long after that before we realized that maintenance wise, we were not going to be able to do this without some form of a tractor, whether it be buy an old tractor with a bush hog and be able to keep the pastures up and keep them under control and things like that, or go out and buy a new one that we figured would last for a long time, and we splurged and we got a couple extra things. This is the first thing that we bought for this farm as a homestead. We bought this tractor. It has a front end loader on it, which you can do all sorts of things with that. It's like I mean, it's a multi-tool. You can do all kinds of stuff with this. There's all kinds of implements and attachments. Personally, the most things that we've done around here that need a tractor, we've redone all of the perimeter fences around this place. Thousands and thousands and thousands of feet of field fence and barbed wire. This tractor helped us to do that because of the fact that we could go out and we could clear the fence lines off. We could use this tractor with an auger that we bought to drill in new fence posts or for corners and things like that. The tractor has been a massive help in just about anything we do. We do a lot of gardening. We don't do garden boxes and things like that. When I was a kid, my grandparents put everything in the ground, so that's how I learned how to do it. So we, actually my dad bought this for our tractor here. Dad bought a 5-foot tiller so we can till the ground. So we've got a bush hog, we've got a tiller, we've got an auger, we've got the front end loader, and we've also got a set of pallet forks that we can clamp onto the bucket. This thing gets used for all sorts of stuff. Cutting trees down to make sure the trees go in the right direction. We hook a rope to it and we pull them. Cleaning up brush, moving dirt piles. When we clean out our big chicken coop, we bring the bucket right to the door, fill it up, take it to our compost pile. Tilling the garden, bush hogging the field. I take this to our hunting land and I bush hog roads. I get in the bucket and I go up, and when I go up in that bucket, I use the number 3 tool on this farm. This will be the 3rd most used item on this farm. Some of you won't believe it, but with as many fences and things that we've had to clear around here, you'll definitely understand why a chainsaw is the 3rd most used item on this farm. Let's check it out. All right, guys, so like I was saying, here on the farm, this place was a little bit overgrown, it was a little bit overrun, and things needed to be cleaned up, brush needed to be cleared away. There was a lot of dead trees here that had fallen down, and over the years, I've had a lot of different chainsaws. I've had some cheap chainsaws from, you know, Lowe's or Home Depot or someplace like that, and when I moved here, I didn't run out and buy this right off the bat because Dad had a couple chainsaws and I had some older ones that still work pretty good. But when it came time for me to really make an investment, I sat there and I thought about it. I was like, I need something that's big enough. I need something that's got a great name that's going to last for a long time. So I went out and I went back to the John Deere dealership where I bought this tractor because they sell Stihl powered equipment. So I ended up with a chainsaw that Stihl calls the Farm Boss. It's got a 20-inch bar on it. And this is an MS-271. I can't tell you how many trees I've cut down, how much brush I've cleared with this, how much firewood we've been able to produce for Dad and them's house and other things. We've sold firewood. This saw has cut a lot. I've had this saw since 2017. I've maintained it, I've kept up the bar and chain, I've kept good oil in it and a good mix of fuel, and this bad boy has helped me build things. A lot of times when we're out building something on the backside of the property, I'm not going to load up my generator and all my saws and cords and everything else. I'm going to take this chainsaw with me, and if I need to cut a post, I'm going to cut it with a chainsaw. If I need to cut a 2x4 off that was a little too long after I nailed it up, I'm going to cut it off with a chainsaw. A chainsaw is another multi-tool. It's not just for cutting down trees. It's not just for limbing up trees. It is a vital necessity on a farm or a homestead. You can use it for all kinds of stuff. When storms roll through and trees start hitting fences, before I got cows and horses running up and down this Georgia highway that we live on, I get out there with this chainsaw and I cut it up, we fix a fence and we move on. So if you're gonna get out there and you're gonna farm, get a good chainsaw. Don't go buy the Japanese junk in the stores. find you a Stihl dealership or a Husqvarna dealership and get you a good chainsaw so that you'll have a reliable tool to use when it's time. So guys, the last tool that I'm going to spotlight here has been very vital to us for the things that we've done on this farm. Earlier in this video, I talked about all the fences that we had to replace. And when we did that, some of these fences and T-posts had been here since the 1970s. They were rusted off at the ground. You could barely touch them and they would just break right off at the ground. So as we replaced all of our perimeter fences and we put in our cut fences and things like that, the only way to drive T-posts when I was coming up and learning how to do stuff like this on farms was a fence post driver. So this thing has been called a lot of names. It's actually a slide hammer, okay? So you slide it over the T-post and you pound, you pound, you pound, and this whole top section of this thing is solid. I can't tell you how many T-posts that this particular one has driven in. But when I was a sure enough young kid, Dad and I didn't have one of these, and we used to build big pens for animals and whatnot, and we would drive T-posts with a sledgehammer. If you've ever seen anybody do that, you know how funny it looks, and you know how awkward it looks when somebody's trying to do that. It's not very effective. It takes a whole lot longer. This is the tool for the job. Nowadays, they have mechanical tools. They have attachments for tractors. They have air-driven T-post drivers. This, to me, now that we have all these fences around, of course, I had two younger sons that helped me drive a lot of these T-posts. I even got a fancy video of my mom driving a T-post with this T-post driver. Amazing family that we have. But this item, we've used it a lot and it's been very detrimental. And if you're gonna drive a lot of T-posts and you don't have a lot of money, this is probably gonna be the best way to do it. You better eat good that morning because you're gonna need every ounce of energy you've got. Guys, these 4 items that I've decided to talk about today are definitely not the only items that we use on this farm. I can't tell you, I could stand here and name tools that we use all the time, you know, from your hand tools, hammers, saws, screwdrivers, anything like that that's just your normal hand tool that you would use on a building project or whatever. We use those things all the time. Come-alongs, we use come-alongs quite a good bit, especially when we're fencing. That's what we normally do. We'll hook that to the tractor and then we'll use the come-along to get the exact tension of the fence that we want before we attach it to all of our posts. Buckets, dear Lord, buckets. The back of our mule, that's our work truck, slam full of buckets all the time. I mean, it's terrible. That's one thing that there's no shortage of on this farm is buckets. We've got 5-gallon buckets, 3-gallon buckets, 1-gallon buckets. There's just buckets everywhere. 55-gallon drums. We store feed in 55-gallon drums. We use 55-gallon drums for horses. My wife and daughter barrel race, so we've got a lot of barrels sitting around. Trailers. We have an abundance of trailers here. We have trailers for all sorts of stuff. We've got a livestock trailer. We've got a horse trailer. We've got a trailer that I bought to haul my tractor on. And lo and behold, when I bought that trailer, we use that trailer for all sorts of stuff. I can't tell you how often we'll have a friend of ours or their children or somebody that has a broke down car. Guess what? We'll hook it up to the truck and we'll go help them out, go pick the car up and go take it home. We've got small work trailers that we attach to the mule that we'll put rolls of fence on to take out to the different areas of the farm. So trailers, big time deal around here. You know, even a chicken coop. We've got our eggmobile is built on a trailer. So trailers is another big thing. Electric fence chargers, all of these different things are items that we have accumulated over time. So it's always a big deal to just go piece by piece. Don't go out and go crazy and think you got to buy all this stuff all at one time. I wanted to do this video so that people would have a good idea of the types of things that we used here and kind of be able to compare that to what their mission is to getting involved with farming. So as of right now, that's the biggest stuff that we use. And you know, we're going to keep on buying things and we'll have all sorts of stuff as we go on. So I'm sure that there'll be much more. So guys, thanks for watching this video. We want to be able to do more videos like this to help you guys out. These are just things that you can start thinking about as you're trying to figure out what you want to do on your farm. It really took us a long time to really get a good direction of where we wanted to go and what we wanted to do. And now that we're there, we're accumulating and we're buying the tools and the things that we need and the things that we feel like will help us get the job done better and faster. And it looks like Mother Nature's doing us a favor. It's kind of starting to rain. So we're going to wrap this one up. We appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't done so, please like and subscribe and follow along. There's going to be a lot more videos coming. We'll see you on the next one.